All right, thanks a lot, Jack. We're joined now here in the interview room by Irish DB's coach Todd Lyght. And Todd, long before you were the Notre Dame secondary coach or had your career in the National Football League, you were one of the prized recruits, the likes of which the university and all the other schools in the program are trying to land here on signing day. I'm curious what your recollections are of signing day the many decades ago, back when you were in the seat that a lot of these recruits are in now.
Yeah, it was 3 decades ago, matter of fact, and, quite some time. But, it was more of a local thing. I think that, on my signing day, it was covered by the local news there in Flint, Michigan. And it was a pretty big day for me because it came down between Michigan State, and the University of Notre Dame, 3 schools that were, local to me, had really good ties with all the schools. But for me, personally, my relationship with Coach Holtz was the big swinging factor. And, coming to the University of Notre Dame was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
It certainly wasn't the kind of production that it's turned into in the modern era. It was you said it was pretty much signing paperwork, make a quick phone call, and it's that simple.
Yeah, Coach Kelly actually, came up. He was an assistant coach with Coach Holtz. Came up, hand delivered my letter of intent to the University of Notre Dame. I can remember not signing it, and Coach Kelly at the time was pretty upset. And he was like, "Why aren't you going to sign it?" And I was like, "Well, my father's flying in. He's out of town, and we'll make sure that we fax it in." Now everything's digital, so much faster, much quicker, and it's much broader stage. And I think that the kids really enjoy that.
Sure, and I think the fans at home do as well. In your day, the fans had to wait for quite a while until they understood who Todd Lyght was and what kind of football player he was. But here and today, we can talk about some of these kids and get a sense of the kind of football players that they are. And I want to start with Isaiah Robertson, one of the guys that you recruited, and a safety that will be playing for you next year. In your evaluation, what does he bring to this football team?
Isaiah Robertson is an unbelievable athlete. Got tremendous length. Very strong player, very cerebral player, great football intelligence. I think that with his athleticism and his ability to finish at the end of the route with his length, plays the game really well. In high school, he excelled on both sides of the ball as a wide receiver and on the defensive side of the ball as a secondary player. Physical player, and can make his presence felt with his tackling.
I think that's sometimes an underrated element in evaluating defensive backs. Right. As you see speed and size and athleticism, but ball skills. A lot of times, guys end up on the defensive side of the ball because they can't catch a football. But in this case, it doesn't sound like that is the case.
Not the case at all. Isaiah was a great wide receiver, and that's one of the things that really jumped out to me: his ball skills and his ability to go attack the ball at the highest point. Some guys are tall, but they don't really play big. He's one of a player who is very tall, has length in his arms, and plays a lot bigger than his size. And so his catch radius is tremendous, and his hand-eye coordination is off the charts. And so he's the type of player that when the ball is in the air, he can attack it, go get it, and then when he comes down with it, he can put it back in the end zone, score on defense.
Do you find in your experience that when coaching a kid that's got the kind of ball skills like that, sometimes you have to teach them, stay in your spot, don't just go to the football, because that's the wide receiver's brain, is go get the football.
You know what? In today's game, with the way they call pass interference, you want guys playing the ball. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you're not close to the receiver and you have to close that distance and retake that space, you don't want the receiver, you don't want the defender looking at the ball. You want him looking at the receiver, get back in position, and then go make a play on the ball. But, Isaiah is the type of player that, he can get back into position due to his speed and his recovery skills. Also, when the ball's in the air, he has an ability to go for it and attack the ball at the highest point like we talked about. But I think, the thing that really separates him is that he plays a lot bigger than his size. I mean, Isaiah is a guy who's, 6'2 plus, and, he plays like he's 6'4", 6'5", due to his catch radius.
Now, you have something in common with the guys that you coach that I think a lot of coaches around the country don't have, and that you coach at the university where you played, right. and you did it under the same kind of spotlight that these kids will be under.
Yes.
When you have conversations with them, how often is that a part of your pitch, having sat in the same seat that they're now sitting in?
It has a big deal with my pitch. I mean, I think that, having played here at the University of Notre Dame and gone through all the trials and tribulations that they're going to go through, really makes it easy for them to understand where I'm coming from. I talk about, here at the University of Notre Dame, we want self-starters. We want guys who are going to excel both on and off the field. We want guys who are going to make a difference in the community. And so I think here at the University of Notre Dame, we do a really good job of, developing the whole entire student athlete, not just in the classroom, but both in the classroom and on the field.
Another thing you can empathize with is all the things that those kids have to deal with when they're here, and they're not negatives, but it's not an easy thing to be a Notre Dame football player.
No, it's not. I mean, we're going to ask a lot of you. You're going to have to compete with the best and brightest students, in the country, in the classroom, and then you're going to have to walk over here to this side of campus, and you're going to have to compete with the best student athletes in the country, and then also on the weekends, we're going to play top teams every week, and the competition is great, and that's the one thing that I think that really draws the really competitive players to the University of Notre Dame, because they want to compete against the best week in and week out.
Now, 365 days ago, we were sitting here on the 2016 signing day. You guys brought in a lot of secondary players that you not only coached this year, but a lot of those kids saw significant playing time on the field, which was a challenge at the time. But moving forward, how does that help your challenge in 2017 and beyond, knowing that you have guys that have been through those fires?
Yeah, 2016 was really difficult. I mean, we had a situation where we had to play a lot of young players: Devin Studstill, Julian Love, Troy Pride, Dante Vaughn, Jalen Elliott. And, they came in as true freshmen, straight out of high school, played a lot of minutes, but I think they gained valuable experience. And, we're able to do a lot of really good things for us defensively. Statistically, through the course of the season, we improved, in each category, and we got a lot better. And I think the biggest thing for us was the gaining confidence in our ability to play at a high level and do really good things defensively.
Kids love playing time, and I'm sure that's a
Absolutely.
question you
No
get
doubt.
from young men, not just Isaiah here, but all the kids that you recruit. The fact that so many freshmen got on the field last year, does that aid in the recruiting process to a degree?
Yeah, no doubt, because everybody wants to come in, everybody wants to make an impact early, and I think that playing time is going to be critical, but you have to earn that playing time through practice and through the way you conduct yourself on campus, and I think that our guys did a great job of that. In the secondary, we had, I think, over 90% of our guys, with a GPA of over 2.5, which is really good coming out in the first year, making that transition to high school to college. But I think that for us, as we recruit the younger athletes, the game has changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So everybody has to play a lot more. When I played, defensively, you would play maybe 65, 70 snaps. So you can play 4 or 5 guys in the secondary. Now, like, for example, in the championship game against Alabama, Clemson ran 99 offensive snaps. So, to have a workload over a course of 12-game season, that's a lot of snaps. And so you have to divide that workload amongst 10 to 12 guys, in order to keep everybody fresh and maintain their health.
Which means not only do you have to get the kids in on today, but then you also have to get them ready throughout the course of the season.
Absolutely.
Which means, while today is a monumentous day, the challenge in a lot of ways just beginning for you guys as a coaching staff as well.
For sure. The challenge is constant. I mean, recruiting is constant. I mean, we're already, recruiting the class for 2018, and we just have to stay on top of it, because we want the best and brightest to come to the University of Notre Dame and to compete for national championships.
All right. Well, Todd, as always, appreciate your time.
Pete,
On a very
no
busy
problem.
day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You got it. Congrats on the haul to this point. We're going to have a lot more information coming out throughout the day here on the International Signing Day coverage. But for now, let's head back to Jack Nolan, who's standing by in our equipment room. Jack?